and your water. You can imagine just serving God. Your food, He will bless. God will bless your food and your water. Number 3, God will take away sickness from you. Just because of serving God. You take away sickness. Sickness will be out of your system. Kuanzia watoto in your family, God will take away sickness in your camp. Another thing that really caught me so much is that God will take away miscarriage and barrenness. Hii ilikuwa inaniguza sana, and it made me remember the Shunammite woman. You don't know this woman in the 2 Kings 4:8. And this woman was a servant of God. And we all remember what happened when Elisha was passing by. This woman decided, you know what, I'm going to build a house for this man. Because spirit yake ilimwambia, this is not just about, this is a man. Told her, next year time like this, you are going to have a son. And truly, God gave that woman a son. You can imagine just serving God and supporting the servant's destiny in him. What do you call it? Maono. Because Elisha was just passing by. But this woman decided, you know what? And I was asking myself, I don't know how many men would agree to this, but I think the man was so good. Like, alikubali kusikiza bibi yake, and they did that, and because of that they were blessed with a child. And let me tell you, hakuna kitu baya like a woman who is barren. As years goes, you feel there is something you are missing. But what Elisha did to this one, not many could have done it. You know, she was praying, but you know, God knew atamwekea hii jaribu. Unajua alimweka tu maono, jengea huyu mtu. If only she didn't, you can imagine she would have been barren for the rest of her years. But just because she had the voice of God. And I was telling God, you know, many a times that God do speaks to us and He tells you, do something. Ni mara ngapi? Ni mara ngapi unafanyanga hiyo kitu? Na maybe hiyo kitu ndio itafungua milango yako mingi. Those prayers that you've been praying, maybe because of one thing that God has been telling you, do this to me, and you don't do it. So you become barren. You have miscarriages, even workplaces, because of not listening to God. So it's good kubeba maono ya these men of God to help them to lead to where they want to go. That way God will also serving God add more lifespans. Imagine God, just serving God will increase your years of this earth. And I want us to talk about ways of serving God. And one of the ways of serving God is through helping the poor. In 35, and we are going to read the book of Acts. Acts 9, verse 35. And it says, about that time, she was sick and died, and her body was washed and placed in an upstairs room. Lydda was near Joppa. So when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydda, they sent 2 men to him and urged him, please come at once. Peter went with him, and when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. All the widows stood around him, crying and showing him the robes and other clothes that Dorcas has made while she was still with them. Peter sent them all out of the room, and they got down to his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, Tabitha, get up. She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He took her by the hand and helped her on her feet. Then he called the believers and the widow and presented her to them alive. This became known all over Joppa, and many people believed in God. Peter stayed in Joppa for times with Tanner and named Simeon. Now this is a woman of God. Her name was Tabitha. And her service to God was making clothes for the widows and the women there. And as I was reading this text, niliona, like, you can imagine the love these people had for this woman. To her, she was just making clothes. When you unaweza sema, you know what, I'll be giving out something, and not getting anything in return. But when she died, and I believe there are so many people who died that day in Joppa, but only her was listened. Because of what? Because of serving God. You can imagine serving God can make you. Unaweza fanya watu washikane waseme hapana. Huyu aendi, huyu lazima tuombe. Huyu lazima tufanye venye tutafanya hadi afufuke. How many times? Umesaidiana. And I was being challenged by the way, and I was asking, does my service inaweza fanya watu wafike wa mahali waseme hapana Njeri aendi? Because you have to ask yourself, what you do to God, will that thing make God akukumbuke? And also I remembered Hezekiah, in the 2 King 20 verses 1. When Hezekiah was told by, I think it was Isaiah, that he is going to die, he turned to the wall. Na alikumbusha Mungu mambo zenye amefanya. There come a time when you need to tell God the things that you have done. Sometimes mambo inatusukumanga, and kuna kitu unaweza shikilia wabie God, because I'm doing this. Let these things start for me. And Elisha was told, go back and tell him, I've added 15 more years. Your service to God will add more years. Your service to God will make people not sleep, will make people pray for you. Hata kama ni hiyo sickness, ndio upone, so that you can continue serving God. Another way of serving God is through praying. Unajua mnaweza uliza how. Yeah, I came to realize that even praying is serving God. And it's something that we should have, all of us. Now, I thank God because of this church. Tumefunzwa mambo mingi about kuomba. Ni wewe tu unaweza kataa kuomba. There's nothing you don't know about praying and how prayer works and how prayer can move mountains. And as I was looking at it, nilikuwa naona when the disciples went to Jesus, there's this one thing aliwaambia. The disciples asked Jesus, teach us how to pray. Hakuambia tufunze kuperform miracles, ama kuimba, ama any other thing. But there's something with the prayer. Why did they ask Jesus, teach us how to pray? Because prayer is something that you can serve God with. And they knew without prayer we will not be